But he would make his mark in 1976 when he would narrowly miss out on a gold medal and take the silver home in one of the great Olympic finals, that being the 5,000 metres. He'd be beaten by Lasse Virénin, but a year later he would go to Finland. He would beat Virénin in his home country and break the world record for 5,000 metres. A year later in 1975, he would become the first man in history to break 3 minutes 50 for the mile. He would go on and then become the first athlete in history to break the sub-4 minute mile on 100 occasions. Sir John Walker is my other guest. Sir John, welcome, and an absolute privilege having you in studio tonight.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Friday, in a couple of days' time, Dick Quacks, was the day you won a silver medal. Do you remember watching Dick run? Were you aware of what he'd just achieved?
Yes, I was. Dick was unfortunately beaten by Lasse Virénin, who I consider not a very honourable man.
Dick, your memories of 1976, your memories of that final?
Oh, well, it's one of those moments in your life that, you never forget. That race was just, it was when you look back on it. And my son actually was up on Facebook the other day and said, "Oh, Dad, look what's here." And so he showed it to me. And, it brings back lots of memories, and good and bad. It was a fantastically exciting race.
Does the race haunt you? Do you have one of those if-only moments where maybe you should have gone a little earlier or you should have been towards the front a little sooner?
No, because I really believe that I ran the best tactical race that I could run. Before the race, I decided that I would try and be the last to sprint. And as it turned out, everybody started, working pretty hard from about 300 metres out. And at 150 metres, I actually thought that I had the race won. I went round the outside and I was going faster than everybody else. And as I came up the straight, I looked over my shoulder, and Lasse Virénin was right, just half a body width behind me. And at that point, I thought, I'm going to win the Olympics. I'm going to be the Olympic champion, and taught me a very valuable lesson for the rest of my life. You never count your chickens before they hatched.
I was actually going to ask this question a little bit later on tonight, but Sir John mentioned it. He talked about Lasse Virénin possibly not being a very honourable man. Do you believe it was a level playing field that day?
Look, Mark, whatever happened has happened. And I've moved on from there. If he, was engaged in blood doping, like the rumours suggested that he may have been, that's for him to live with. From my point of view, I've moved on from that. I accept what's happened, and, I'm just grateful that I've been able to go to the Olympic Games and get on the podium, which is a rare feat.
But don't you think your life would have been different if you had taken home the gold medal versus the silver medal? I mean, you're very philosophical. You almost sound very forgiving. But I mean, if there had been sinister, if Lasse Virénin was up to sinister stuff, I mean, boy, he's taken a lot from you.
Well, my life would have been different, but that I'm not going to dwell on that. I've had a fantastic life. I had a fantastic running career. Better than most people could even hope or dream of. I got to stand on the Olympic dais, which is a privilege that very few people get to experience. And, I'm not going to dwell on anything else.
How was Rod Dixon after that final? He finished fourth, and I know really the only sort of redemption came in 83 when he won that New York Marathon. How was he? I mean, you got your medal. Yes, he got one in 72 in the 1,500 metres, but... yeah, I mean, you talk about those if-only moments. You've got to live with that. It's almost like you're being punished for just being a world-class athlete.
Well, the worst place to finish in the Olympics or any big meet like that is fourth, of course, because you've run so fast. When you look at it as a percentage, Rod was less than probably 1% behind Lasse Virénin, probably less than 0.5%, and so you've run so well, but you don't get anything to show for it. And, Rod, I think that did impact on him for a long time. And he was, I think he was pretty sour about the whole thing, and especially how the race finished with the German Klaus-Peter Hildenbrand diving in front of him and, snatching the bronze medal from me.
You sort of set the tone. You did it the right way. The guys that you raced against, asterisks maybe next to Lasse Virénin, we won't relitigate that debate, but predominantly it was a clean sport. These days, it's not a level playing field. How does that make you feel?
Well, in some ways, what's happened over the last month or so has somewhat been encouraging, because it means that, look, people are prepared to come out and say that there's a problem. I think the drug testing is a lot better than it was a few years ago. And look, if you look, Mark, at the women's records,
Yes.
from the track records, the field records, and you look at through all those records, and what they did in the 1970s and 1980s, they just can't do anymore because they were just so chemically enhanced, if you like. If you look at Valerie Adams' performance, for example, I think if you go through all the shot put, she's only 400th best shot put, his best.
Absolutely.
It's it's unbelievable that there are 400 who've performed, or 400 performances better than her, whereas she is by far the best female shot put in the world now. She has been for the last 5 or 6 years.
70-luvun yleisurheilua varjostavat doping-asiat ja veritankkausasiat. Mikä sinun kommenttisi on näihin tarinoihin, joita kilpailujen ympäriltä?
En mä tiedä. Kaikistahan aina epäillään, ja yleensä epäilyn alla on aina ne, jotka tekee tuloksia ja muuta. Että ehkä dopingkin teki tuloa, mutta mun mielestä sitten, jos sitä oli, mulla ei ole henkilökohtaisia kokemuksia siitä, eikä ole sitten henkilökohtaisia taas näyttöjä niin kuin toistenkaan puolesta, ja tietoa, että mikä on niin kuin jonkun muun kohtalo, että mä osaan sen ihmeellisempää kantaa siihen ottaa, mutta kai sitä on ollut, koska sieltä aina silloin tällöin joku jäi kiinnikin niistä kisoista. Että mähän olin kaikkien kisojen jälkeen aina testeissä pitemmänkin aikaa, kun ei sitten virtsatestit tehtiin. Ja kun ei ollut oikeastaan enää mistä hikos, niin se mennessä olla välillä vaikeaa.
Match, 2 laps to go, and that was a faster time than this, and ran 53 seconds at the end of a punishing one, and one senses that Brendan Foster must know that. The 200, 800, 1500 and 5000, and he's got time to relax, to look over his shoulder, to accept the rejoicing of the crowd, and we can forgive all. Everything he did was right in the end. And Brendan Foster and Viren not getting much respectable treatment from this crowd, and that is sad and it is regrettable. Any man that wins 2 gold medals at an Olympic Games deserves the respect of a lifetime. And that was sad, but this is the man